Tribune and Retirement Strategies Group present the Union Tribune Community Spotlight Show with your host, Drew Schlossberg.
I'm Drew Schlossberg of the San Diego Union Tribune, and we are back with Debra Emerson. She is the CEO of St. Madeleine Sophie's Center out in East County, and for, let me do the math here, 53 years? I got that right?
Yes,
53 years. It's doing some wonderful work with folks, as Debra has called, are not ability challenged. They are ability savvy and so forth.
I would say that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Ages 22 to 85, and we have had some folks at the center since it opened up in '66, and it's wonderful. Let me ask you a question here, because when you work with an organization like yours, where there's so much passion for this population that you work with, I imagine you've got longtime volunteers as well.
Yes, we do. We have a lot of volunteers that have been here with, especially even with me since I've become the CEO. So a long time. Our board is a pretty steady group of people also. And a lot of times they'll come on and they go off a year and then maybe stay on a committee. But we also have committees and board members we need all the time with special skills. And my staffing, a lot of my staff have been there over 20 years. So we're really excited about that.
Right. And now, does most of the funding come from, private sources? Does it come from grants? Does it come from the state or the feds, or all of the above?
The majority of our funding, about 70 to 75% of our funding, comes from the Department of Developmental Services, and it's based on a ratio and a person's disability, and it's funded through San Diego Regional Center. We have to fundraise about $1 million a year, and any type of a special project or special programming, we're always looking for grants or funding for that also.
Right, and so it's located out in East County, and it's a pretty big footprint you have out there. Is that correct?
Yes, we have about 6 acres,
right,
and I think about 6 buildings. We also have a brand new pool building. We have Special Olympics there. Also, we offer some programming to the community at the pool too. Right,
and of course, this is not a sort of a stay over. It's only during the day, so people aren't spending the night there, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
About 50% of our people live at home with their families, and another 50% live with group homes. So we're a day program, operate from probably about 6 in the morning to 6 at night, because we transport. We have about 52 buses. People always say they see our buses out there, and we transport even as far as Poway.
Right. And so let me ask you this. So for fundraising, of course, do you look for sponsors? Let's say we need a bus sponsor, or we need a arts supply sponsor. Do you break it down that way, or you just want any sponsor?
I would think we would break it down so that the sponsor is interested in what we're fundraising for, especially for the arts, and even transportation is a key piece of our programming, people coming in and out every day. So we're always looking for different sponsors or different grants.
Right.
And so a sponsor for an event is different than maybe a grant person. And also individual donors. We get some anonymous donors also during this time of year. Yeah,
and I think, what's great about this, and if I'm not mistaken, you brought a couple gentlemen in last time you were here, right?
Yes, I did.
Talk about that program.
I think they were in our art program.
They were.
And that was, I think, Mark Remlin and the other person, I can't think of the person's name right now, but one of our students is even going to college, taking some college classes.
Nice. Right.
So I'm really proud of him. And then Mark Remlin, he's always doing art, especially with mosaics and painting.
Right.
And he just moved into a group home. He had lived at home all these years.
Nice.
And he's thriving. I even heard him singing in the lobby the other day. Was nice to see that he is really kind of advancing himself.
Right. And as you mentioned before, you'll pick him up at the group home and bring him over too. Right. Exactly. Now, with the 400 folks you have, okay, when they decide they don't want to be there, how does that work? Do some people transition out? Do they leave town? Do the family said we don't need this anymore?
It's depending on the person. More of it's going on what that person wants to do with their goals in their life. There's a whole new HCBS is coming down from the federal government.
A bill?
Yeah, the bill coming down. And so we're really listening, and we have a whole Liberty plan that we do with the student to fill them out what their goals and dreams are. And so a lot of our programming is about what that student wants in their life, and also help the family understand that we can, a person can find a job, they can be safe in the community, because that's always been a concern for our students in the community. People taking advantage of them, things like that.
Right. Well, you would hope in this day and age, but again, that's a little probably Pollyanna thinking, so we better be on top of that aspect of it. Are there other groups that do what you folks do at St. Madeleine's? Is there a St. Madeleine's and Sophie Center up in L.A. and in Portland and Seattle?
There are a lot of programs out there in all the different areas, even locally.
Right.
I always say we have a different menu, just like restaurants. We all have different things that we shine in our programming, or we focus in on.
Right, exactly. So what would you say, I'll put you on the spot a little bit here. We're chatting with Debra Emerson. She's the CEO of St. Madeleine's Sophie Center. What would you say differentiates yourself? And they're all good programs, and you've always been very magnanimous in shouting out the great work that's done in this space throughout the county. But what makes you folks a little bit different?
I think because of our art focus, I think a lot of those things really, a person, even us, if we do art, it's using a different part of our brain. And so I don't know if arts were really appreciated in our industry, but now people see that they are very important and that our people do have abilities in the art world.
It's funny you bring that up. We have a lot of education folks come on the show, and the ones who work in VAPA, Visual and Performing Arts, at the schools or whatever, or music or plays or whatever, our engineer, Ken Johnson's son is heavily involved in playwriting and so forth. And it just opens up a different we know this helps people. You're using, to your point, a different part of your brain. You tend to be a little more on the affective domain. You have more empathy. It unlocks things. I'm glad to see that it's starting to get more attention. It's not even close to what it should be. But if everyone focused on this, we'd have a very, very different world, would we not?
I think so. People with developmental disabilities or disabilities
right.
have so many hidden talents. And if you come on our campus, so many people are happy just to be there and be with their friends and have a place to go. I mean, that's a huge thing in this world today.
Well, and not just the ones that, in your populations. Like you said, everyone can benefit from this as well. Talk about some of the other events that you have. You've got a great fashion show.
Yes, we do. Also in the spring, we have a Morning Glory Brunch that's on our campus.
Been there, it's great.
Kind of showcases our campus and raises money for our pool and our garden. And then we have a fabulous fashion show in August, and I think that's August 15th.
Right.
And then I have some really nice friends out there from Keller Williams, Joe Garzanelli and Don Parrott. They put on a golf tournament for us.
And they were in the studio not too long ago. How'd that go this year?
It went fabulous. It was able to underwrite lunch for everybody on campus. So everybody got fed and everybody was happy and having a good time. And also this year we're doing a St. Patrick's Run. We have another group of people out there that are also doing a fundraiser for us. And my students participate in a Green Mile. It's in the downtown El Cajon. So we're really excited about that.
And do you have a date for that set up yet?
I'm not sure of the date, but I think it's just before.
Is it on the website?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And the website again, one more time?
It's stmsc.org.
Right. And, now do you break it down where, and we sort of talked about this a little bit, where for every, I've got about a minute and a half to go, every dollar pays for X, or for every $50 you're buying art supplies for this person. We know nonprofits that can break things down. Our good friend Jim Floros at the food bank, right. $1 is 5 meals, okay, right. Or X, Y, and Z. Do you do the same?
In a way, we do. We get a set rate from the state.
Yeah.
We need probably an additional $5 a day per person. to fill our budget,
Okay.
and that's to help with all the different programming that we have.
Right.
So that's really important. If you thought everybody there could pay $5 a day, that would make a tremendous difference in our programming and also our facility.
Right.
And also what our staff get funded and paid or benefits.
Right.
So it all kind of relates back to it. But I feel that we don't get the funding that we need, but, the state budget kind of dictates what we get.
Right.
And it's always shortfalling, like I said, about $1 million a year, $5 a day per person.
Right.
So that's what we're shortfall.
Right. Well, those contributions, whether they're Bill Gates type money, which would never be turned down, or they're $5, is all good. And again, well, I'll remind our listeners for St. Madeleine Sophie Center, Tea by the Sea, Saturday, January the 18th. It'll be at the Marine Room. $135 per guest or $13.50 per table. You're going to be there with a famous Chef Bernard. There'll be signature cocktails and music and a silent auction and hors d'oeuvres, and it all benefits Sophie's Gallery art program. Debra Emerson, it's always a pleasure to see you, and let's get you back on again after the first of the year.
I would love to, and I just always great to see you guys,
Yeah,
and happy holidays, and hopefully a great new year.
And to you too as well.
2020.
Absolutely. Deborah Emerson, she's the CEO of St. Madeleine Sophie Center. I'm Drew Schlossberg of the San Diego Union Tribune, and you've been listening to another edition of the Community Spotlight Show, brought to you by Retirement Strategies Group, the Retirement Made Simple folks.
Thank you for listening to a podcast from Cloudcast Media, the digital media home for leading local brands. When it comes to amplifying your brand, a Cloudcast-sponsored show offers unbeatable value. Learn more at cloudcast.us.
Cloudcast 180. Powerful people, powerful stories, 180 seconds.
Welcome to Cloudcast 180, the 3-minute lightning round with changemakers here in San Diego. We're here with Ed Heiner, 20-year Navy SEAL, best-selling author, and education entrepreneur. Ed, welcome to the Cloudcast 180.
Thanks for having me.
Your book was called First Fast Fearless, so let's hit this fast and fearlessly. Real quick, you created a program to help change lives of high school students around the country. It's called SEALpreneurship. Tell our audience what it's all about.
Well, it's about leading yourself. Getting a PhD in me, I teach kids how to take care of themselves and lead themselves first, and how to be their own entrepreneur, intrapreneur, if you will.
Is it something you think public education is lacking, this concept of self-leadership?
Absolutely. It's a mindset that kids don't get. My son doesn't get it in his school. The kids don't get it. It's something that, we're educating them, but to be mentally tough and be able to take charge of themselves and accountable for themselves is very unique.
Okay. I've seen an overview of your curriculum, 23 evolutions, and you have a 23-minute podcast series. So what's up with 23?
Chromosomes, right? It's all in all of us. We're all the same. 99.9% of everybody in this world is the same. And we use those chromosomes, 23 pairs, which was one of the concepts we teach as swim buddies, never be alone. Mm-hmm. Always work with someone else, collaborate, and be out there.
Boy, that's a lesson for life for sure. Ed, you were in charge of basic and advanced training for the U.S. Navy SEALs, and I mentioned you're a 20-year SEAL. Tell our audience the greatest lesson from the SEALs that have changed you forever.
Probably in the back of a helicopter one night in Iraq before I was getting ready to fly into an Al-Qaeda target, it dawned on me that when a pilot said, you have this many souls on board, it dawned on me that the opposite of fear is love. It's not else. I don't fight for what I hate in front of me. I fight for what's beside me, behind me, that I love.
Wow, it's a powerful concept. Wow. You've talked a lot about the blue-collar scholar as a concept. Fascinating. Tell our audience, what is the blue-collar scholar as it relates to your SEALpreneurship program?
It's a mental concept where people take control. Don't outsource their life. Look, we're going to have people that are in white coats, suits and ties, doctors, PhDs. That's fine. Listen to that and learn your information from them. But eventually, you got to be that mechanic in your own life. You got to turn the wrench. This is happening. So basically, take control of your own life. Use what you can use from other people. Discard it. What you can't, and make that your own. Leadership is something that you do. It's you do with people, not to them. And one of the best forms of leadership I learned in the back of that helicopter is called MOM.
Ed,
Focus on mission, others, me.
Mission, others, me. Ed, thank you for being here. This has been the Cloudcast 180. We hit it fast and fearlessly. We're out.
Cloudcast 180. Powerful people, powerful stories, 180 seconds.